guys, Master Roshi here, bringing you another Dragon Ball Z Dokkan battle video. And so a new stage of Extreme Super Battle Road is releasing on JP. JP are getting the representatives of Universe 7 stage. We know this because obviously they follow the same order. The latest ESBR stage up till now was Androids, and so the new one will be stage 31, Reps of Universe 7, which does not have a page on the wiki yet. So one thing to bear in mind is the fact that we have seen with ESBR in the past, whilst the enemies themselves will remain the same, the typings could possibly change. So Bergamo might not be physical, Ribrian might not be STR, Dispo might not be AGL, like who knows, right? We won't know that until the stage actually comes out, or potentially the data download, but the wiki gets updated quite slowly nowadays. So the typings may be different, so bear that in mind. So Reps of Universe 7 is still a pretty small category. Obviously, if you were playing when the 6th anniversary happened, you are probably going to have a much better team. Some of the anniversary LRs, of course, like they don't return very often. Some of the yellow coin LRs are on all LR banners, but it just kind of depends if they're the ones you manage to pull. So it kind of depends when you were around. There's a lot of good free-to-play options as well, though, and those events are, of course, always available, whether they are live for being done with stamina or available through the Portal of Memories with keys. So there are a lot of options. As always, with my team building guides, I will go through my top picks as well as honourable mentions. If there's any that you think I missed out or I should have talked more about, obviously let me know down below in the comment section. And if you do find this guide helpful at all, smash that like button and subscribe to the channel if you are new for more content. So let's go ahead and jump straight in. So first things first, we'll talk about the Agl Goku and Frieza. Now, obviously, Reps of Universe 7 does not have a 200% lead, so this was, until the release of the 200% meta, the team with the highest leader skill in the game, because Agl Goku and Frieza give Reps of Universe 7 3 key and 177% to all stats. So technically, they are still the best leader for the team. I don't know if they are the best leader for Super Battle Road, or the best unit for Super Battle Road. So for me personally, I would maybe run either my one as lead or the friend one as lead, and then have a different unit, right? Because Agl Goku and Frieza, they are very good. They raise defense on both of their super attacks. They get a lot of their stats when supering, so they are ideally a slot 2 or 3 unit. If you've attacked down, defense down, stunned or sealed the enemy, they also get an extra buff. So they can be very good. I would probably use them, like I say, in slot 2 or 3. And yeah, you could bring double leads for the double 177, or you could bring one and then another 170 lead, depending on what your options are and how you want to build your team. But they can be very, very powerful. They lower attack as well on both of their supers, so that is always very useful in Super Battle Road. So next up we have Agl Ui Goku, once the hands down best unit in the game. Still obviously very good, however the biggest problem with him is the fact that he is completely RNG related. So he does have a 70% chance to dodge, which is great on paper, but everybody knows who's actually used him. For some reason, it always kind of feels like, especially in Super Battle Road, he'll dodge all the normal attacks and then take a super attack and then you die. So that is just unfortunately down to RNG. But if he is getting his dodges, obviously he's very powerful. He builds up ki with each dodge, and as soon as he dodges for the first time, he gets an extra 30% defense for the rest of the turn. That does only happen once, even if he dodges multiple times. He has a built-in chance to additional. He has a 50% chance to crit on both of his super attacks, which means if he gets an additional super, that does actually stack up to 100%. So any additional supers that he gets will be guaranteed crits. So he is able on his best turns to take literally no damage, whilst also putting out a ton of damage. So obviously he can be very, very good. He has an active skill that you can use on turn 4, which is not at all difficult to get to in Super Battle Road, which is then going to do a big chunk of damage to the enemy, and obviously can be very effective at taking out an enemy who's on low HP. Especially when you get into one of those situations where there's an enemy that you couldn't quite kill on the previous turn, and now they're attacking you like 3 times in slot 1. You can then just fire off the active skill to get rid of them. So, very, very good. Next up, we have his counterpart, the Int Super Saiyan Blue Evolution Vegeta. Everybody kind of memes on this guy, but in Super Battle Road, he can be good as long as you are using items. So, he builds up damage reduction within the turn with each hit that he takes. But the first couple of hits are potentially going to hurt. But since most people don't really care about doing no item runs and stuff, if you pop a Whis, like this guy is quite easily going to be able to tank a whole bunch of attacks. It's only going to look bad if the first attack he takes for the turn is a super, but he can be very good. He has the same mechanics as Goku in the sense that he gets the 50% chance to crit, which can stack on his supers. He has a built-in chance to additional. Both of these units do have a revival that we didn't talk about either. Goku needs to be hit 3 times in battle though, which in ESBR, if he's getting hit, he's probably taking a lot of damage, so you don't get to see his very often. Whereas Blue Evolution Vegeta has to be hit 7 times. It's actually a lot easier, because obviously in Extreme Super Battle Road, especially when there's 3 enemies, you could quite easily have like 4 or 5 attacks in one slot, so you can get this built up over 2 turns. Obviously, depending on how quickly you're beating the fight, you might not actually get to see this, but he does have it, so that can be useful as well. And of course, he has the active skill for some damage as well. So one thing that will be very good for him, of course, is that with the release of this stage tomorrow, we are also getting the EZA for AGL Super Saiyan Blue Vegeta that transforms into Blue Evolution. So the two of them together can obviously work really, really well as a rotation. Because post EZA, this guy launches his additional attacks, which now, instead of only ever being normals, have a rare chance of becoming super attacks, which I think is only 15%. But each attack he performs, he gets an extra 20% defense. He raises attack and defense on his super attack. So he is going to be looking really good after a couple of attacks. Very strong defensively. And then from turn 4, he has a 40% chance to transform, which has gone up by 10%. So it's nice to see they are doing this with transformation conditions with EZAs. And then, yeah, once you transform into Blue Evolution, you just get much, much higher stats. Additional 100% defense when performing a super, when he already has 150 and raises defense on super. So in slot 2 or 3, he's going to be really, really good. So like I said, with a defensive item active, you can put this guy in slot 1, this guy in slot 2, and then that rotation is going to be very, very good. And then, yeah, once he's transformed, he builds up crit chance up to 70%. So, yeah, very, very strong. So that combination will be very good. Next up, we have the Blue Kaioken Goku, another unit that has kind of become a meme. But in Super Battle Road, he can be really, really good for using the Spirit Bomb strategy. Because once you're at 59% or less HP with 3 or more reps of Universe 7 on the team, you can do the Spirit Bomb, which does massive damage to one of the enemies and also massively buffs everybody on the turn. So going into the second or third fight, there's no turn restriction. So you can already go into the second or third fight with this ready to go on turn 1. And then dish out a ton of damage. I mean, you can use the active skill and then use a defensive item or a heal or whatever if you want to. And then the other units on your rotation are all going to be doing extra damage as well. So there is that legit strat that you can just kind of use this guy to nuke through the stage. The only problem is, of course, he himself does take a lot of damage from attacks. So you have to be very careful how you use him, because he's just unfortunately not very good defensively. And in a brand new ESBR stage, like, he is absolutely going to get rocked. So I definitely would not use this guy on a no item run, but the Spirit Bomb strategy is a legit strategy that can work in Extreme Super Battle Road. So next up, we have the LR Team Universe 7. They have a Reps of Universe 7 lead as well, so you could obviously potentially use them as a leader. They are designed literally to just solely be run on this team, right? Because they get half of their start of turn attack and defense when there's 5 or more representatives of Universe 7 allies on the team. So you pretty much can only use them on that team. But they are very, very good on that team. So they get a bunch of extra attack if you get to 22 key. They get 2 extra key per rainbow orb, as well as crit chance per rainbow orb. So getting to the 22 or higher key isn't super difficult. They do mega colossal damage, raise allies defense by 30%, and chance of performing a crit by 7% for 1 turn. So they are very, very good. They don't get any defense on super, so you can use them in slot 1. And then, of course, allies for the rest of the turn get this buff, which is going to be very, very useful. And then they have an active skill. You can only use it when there's 1 enemy left, which is fine because you can kind of use it as a finisher. HP is 50% or less, the actual 1 enemy. If there are 5 or more Reps of Universe 7 allies on the team, which there will be, of course, for this, 2 or more of them attacking in the same turn. So literally, you can only use this when you're on a full Reps of Universe 7 turn. But then, yeah, this is going to do big damage. It also gives all allies key plus 7 for the turn. So very, very useful, especially on a team full of LRs. Speaking of LRs, we have the Str Ui Goku. He's aged pretty well considering like Super Battle Road doesn't disable dodge and he has a 70% chance to dodge, just like the AGL one. So he builds up his attack and defense and ki by dodging attacks. So a lot of the time he is the one you kind of want to put in slot 1 and take the risk of getting all the dodges, because the more dodges he gets before he attacks, obviously the more powerful he is going to be. He disables enemies' guard, which is kind of a lame effect, but it does mean he can do decent damage to AGL enemies, so that is perfectly fine. And other than that, like, yeah, he's just still a straight up decent unit for Super Battle Road. Again, though, like the AGL one, he is at the mercy of RNG. You could quite easily put him in front of like 3 attacks and he just doesn't dodge all of them. They're all supers and you just die. So that can happen, but of course the rotation of him and Agl Ui Goku together, if RNG is on your side, is very, very powerful. So definitely a worthwhile consideration. Next up we have the LR Master Roshi. It's a lot of LRs so far, I know, but this is a free-to-play LR option. Obviously, he's very, very good for the team. He's a support unit for basically Gokus on this team because he supports Turtle School allies. As long as you have 2 or more Turtle School allies on the team, he has a revival which just has a HP restriction. 60, yes, was it 50% or less HP at the start of the turn? So his is way easier to get than UI Goku or Blue Evolution Vegeta. He can be very, very useful for that alone. But then when we look at his super attack effects, he has a 70% chance to stun on his 12 key super. And then his 18 key super does a lot of damage and seals. So a lot of the time in Super Battle Road, I deliberately go for the 12 key, because obviously stunning is very, very powerful. He also has a 30% chance to dodge built in, so he can be good even in slot 1 if you have to use him there. Although again, very RNG reliant. And then he has an active skill. His is really difficult to get. He does have to be hit 7 times, which in a short mode like ESBR and the fact that he has built-in dodge, not as easy. I very rarely ever get to see his active skill, especially in Super Battle Road, but he's still a very, very solid option for the team with all of this utility that he offers with his kit. Next up we have the LR Koke Goku and Blue Evolution Vegeta. This unit is really, really good for slot 2 or 3 because they do basically get like a massive defense buff, right? They greatly raise defense on both of their supers, which is a 50% buff. And when you look at their passive, they're only starting with attack and defense 70%. So ideally, you want to use them in slot 2 or 3. The more rainbow orbs you pick up, the more additional normal attacks they do, up to 3. And then, of course, that helps to trigger the additional from their hidden potential system, which if it converts into a super, they get double greatly raising defense. So then they will literally, even in ESBR, tank normal attacks for double-digit damage if they are getting that double super. So very, very strong. Very good unit. They do lower attack on both of their supers as well, which can be a nice little bit of extra utility. They do have an active skill. It gives them guaranteed 24 key and an attack buff, but it gives them a defense nerf. So I would only ever really use this as like a finisher. If they're in a slot where they're being attacked by like 3 different enemies, I definitely would not use it, even if you're trying to use it to finish off one enemy, because then the other 2 are obviously just going to hit way harder. So they can be a very, very good unit. They're probably more of an honourable mention, considering just how ridiculously powerful some of the other units are. But they are like top tier honourable mention. They are very, very good. So next up we have the Fit Boo, Skinny Boo, Shape Up Boo, whatever you want to call him. Very, very good for Extreme Super Battle Road or any Super Battle Road in general, because for the first 7 turns he has 300% defense and a 50% chance to dodge. So obviously very, very useful. You can see a pattern with this team. Like, there's a lot of RNG, but if you're getting good RNG on your dodges, your team can basically take no damage. He also has a 30% chance to stun on his super attack, which could be very, very useful. He doesn't link up very well with the team, because obviously he didn't take part in the Tournament of Power, so he doesn't have Tournament of Power. He does have Shocking Speed, but yeah, he's not going to link up super well, but he does give himself 3 extra key, so he'll be okay. And then obviously the rest of the units will link up much better together, so he's definitely a really, really good pick. I think I used him in like every no item run stage that he could be used on pretty much, so he's very, very good. Next up we have the physical free-to-play UI Goku, so a free-to-play unit, but very, very good. He raises attack and defense on super attack. He gives Universe Survival Saga allies 3 key and 30% attack and defense, so he's a really good support unit for the team. He has 120% attack and defense, and then he has a 50% chance to dodge built in. So he's really good. He infinitely stacks, but obviously in ESBR you don't really get a lot of time to stack up. But his defense will be able to be pretty good, whilst also providing support to everybody and potentially dodging the attacks that come his way. So he's a really good support unit and a really good free-to-play option. We also have the Tech, Gohan and Piccolo that came out during the anniversary. You know, thinking about it, I swear I haven't pulled a copy of these guys from the unfeatured pool like in forever, which is good for me because mine are rainbow. But they can be pretty decent. They do decent attack. They have a built-in chance to crit. They get decent stats, but they build up over time, so they're not necessarily the best for short-form events. They are a Reps of Universe 7 Allies support unit, so they are pretty good for that, for helping out the rest of the team. They also give the enemy the Disables Guard effect, which is pretty lame, as we said, but if you're fighting an int enemy, it can be pretty good. And they do have a great chance to stun when performing a super attack, but bear in mind, because that is in the passive, it means it's only for the duration of that one turn. But that can still be very, very useful. Next up we have Roshi and Tien, another strong free-to-play option. They do supreme damage, they seal the enemy and lower their attack, which is the most useful thing about them, really. They are also a Rets of Universe 7 support unit for 40%, which is really good for a free-to-play unit. They build up with attacks received, so as a free-to-play unit, their stats aren't super great to start off with, but if you're able to get them to target like only one enemy who's attacking them, that enemy's going to be sealed and attack lowered, and so they're not going to take as much damage. Each hit they take is going to build up that part of their passive, and they're providing support to everybody else, so they are a very good pick as well. Next up we have the STR, Frieza and Norma Gohan. I thought I'd include them as an honourable mention. They're not super great. They got memed on quite a lot during the release, during the anniversary, but they can be okay. They reduce the enemy's attack. They have a great chance to guard after performing a super, so if you have to use them as like a last resort, you could kind of just float them in the third spot. They'll provide a little bit of support to Reps of Universe 7 again, and then of course after they've gone off their super, they have this chance to guard, so they'll potentially hold their own in slot 3 as well. And then last but not least, we have the LR, Golden Frieza and Android 17. They do lower attack on their 18 key super. They have a chance to launch additional attacks. They are additional normal attacks, but that can trigger the hidden potential to launch the additional super attack, which is good. They do build up attack and defense and key with each attack they do, so the more attacks they do in one turn, obviously the better. And then they get crit chance and damage reduction within the same turn with each attack performed, which is a little bit unfortunate, the fact that it resets. But if you're able to get their best turn and literally attack 4 times in the one turn, then they're going to have a nice little bit of damage reduction. They have an active skill that gives them 7 key and then an extra 77% defense and guaranteed crits, but you have to perform 4 or more super attacks. So even if you get lucky and get the double super on both turns, it means this is like a turn 5 active skill, and if you're still in the fight, you're probably going to be close to finishing it at that point. So those are the top picks and honourable mentions for Reps of Universe 7. Let me know if there's any of these units here that you think would be good that I didn't talk about. Ui Goku probably is one of them. But we've got so many UI Gokus on the team already, but he definitely can be very good. Let me know down below what you guys think, and obviously let me know what your team build for this stage is going to look like. So that is going to be it for the video, guys. This has been the Master Ningen. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Check out the links down below for the Discord and the merch store, and I will see you all again soon. Have a good one.